Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Creator in Conversation. And not just any episode, today is a very special 70th episode. Back at the start of this season, I mentioned that the intention is to go for 20 episodes per season going forward. So, by my calculations, there's 2 more episodes until the end of season 2. But don't worry, we already have guests planned for season 3, and we also have a couple of other episodes and guest material prepared to bridge the gap between season 1 and season 2. So today's episode is a really special one because some of our listeners back in the 50th episode may recall when I did a review of just the podcast in general and the experience of running the episodes and the editing and the production that goes into the background. But I was actually during that episode, I mentioned that in August 2024, I had the good fortune to do a mini Justice League reunion featuring the voice actors from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. We had George Newbern, who portrayed Superman in the 2 series, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. We had Maria Canals-Barrera, who of course voiced Hawkgirl. And we also had Susan Eisenberg, who of course is the legendary voice of Wonder Woman, and they were all joined by the voicing and cast director Andrea Romano, who of course is such a legend from going all the way back to TASQ Batman the Animated Series. So this is a wonderful opportunity, particularly for me, because I adore the show and everyone's work on that particular panel. But unfortunately, the quality of the recording was just not salvageable at the time. What had happened was, those of you who listened to previous episodes, you can go to our YouTube page and you'll be able to find various playlists. And we have a live from Dublin Comic Con playlist. And typically at Dublin Comic Con, I would just record from my phone. Very simple, put the phone on the desk, press record, and then upload and edit later. And there was never an issue. Ironically, the very first episode of this podcast, Creating Conversation, featured various different creators from the Irish comic scene. And when I was recording that panel, the very first panel was a group of Irish creators, and somebody accidentally spilled the tea or coffee on the tablecloth, and it nearly went onto the phone. So as a result of that, I was a little anxious of leaving the phone on the table, particularly when I was doing a panel where you had like a row of guests on a table. So instead, I decided to opt for the approach of lending my phone to someone in the audience, and shout out to my friend Anto, who on this occasion took my phone and was able to hold it up just to grab this recording. Unfortunately, despite the numerous nemesis of evil that the Justice League have been able to conquer in the years, my friend Anto proved to be too powerful for them, and he held the microphone at an awkward angle. So it was too far back, there was a lot of ambient noise, and as a result, in season 1, Matt Sheedy at Media 5, who helped out with the editing, advised me that it wasn't salvageable. Since then, it was actually just very recently, I was going through various files that I had, and I came across the Justice League reunion file again. So I decided just to sit down with it and see what I could do. And I decided the approach may be best, instead of tackling it as this one audio file, to try and break it up into smaller files. So I've done that, and I essentially broke up this 25 minute panel into 4 sections, and then I boosted the audio and then cleaned it up as much as I can. The result isn't perfect, but it is more salvageable than what it was before. So you'd be able to actually pick stuff up and more or less make out what folks are saying. Now, today's episode will come with a bit of a not a warning, but an advisement, I should say, which is it's best experienced with the use of headphones, or in particular earbuds like the ones I'm wearing here as I'm talking to you today. When I was editing this, I boosted everything to the highest factor that I could, but I played it at volume setting of 14. So you don't have to boost your audio too loud. But it may be best, if you are listening to today's episode, to use headphones as opposed to playing on a speaker for the best quality and experience. My apologies that in today's episode quality isn't to the standard that previous episodes have been, and it's also most unfortunate that we have such a stellar cast of voiceover and voice actors and recording artists and directors in today's episode, such a stellar team, and the audio isn't to to the usual stellar standard, but that's all just on me. But on the good news side, on the good side of things, we're happy to have been able to boost this and present it to you, and I'm delighted that it's prepared as well for our 70th episode as well. So we've been going continuously every week since we began this podcast back in January 2025. So yeah, and this particular episode was recorded in August 2024, and the Academy is only 6 months old or so. It hadn't even taken in its first academic cohort of students just yet. We begin our academic year in September. So at the time of recording this introduction, the Academy is now 2 years old and it's just concluded its second academic year, and we begin our third academic year come September. And we already have students as well all lined up, and we're opening our doors for more to join us. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Apologies again for the audio quality. Hopefully you'll be able to enjoy what you can from today's episode. So I've named this particular episode the Justice League Reunion Lost Tape. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode featuring the cast of Justice League: George Newbern, Susan Eisenberg, Maria Canals-Barrera, and legendary voice director and casting director Andrea Romano in today's episode of Creator in Conversation. Okay, so we're just going to kick things off. Now, first of all, many thanks to George, Maria, Susan, and Andrea for being here. Welcome to, I suppose, well, you're welcome by now, but welcome to Dublin, of course. We're almost at the end of the show. How have you been finding Dublin so far? Have you all had a chance to know? Andrea, you came in last, I think, so you've still yet to explore.
I haven't yet. But everything I've experienced so far has been delightful, absolutely delightful. The crowd here is so friendly and warm and lovely. The food is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And it stopped raining yesterday. That was nice.
Yeah. Happens once a year.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, beautiful people. The history is magical. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was here 30 years ago, so it's almost Dublin's unrecognizable to me. It's so much more built up and fancy than I but having a great time.
That's awesome. Belated happy birthday as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
21?
Yeah, 24. God, thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, so this is like just the Q&A. At some stage, if you guys have any questions, just raise the hand and we'll go straight to you as well. So if any bond questions, when I get straight to you can. Just to kick things off, so when you guys were recording the show, did you have much of an opportunity to record or rehearse, like roundtable live in the room together, or is everything all pre-recorded then individually?
I was a big believer in, come in. I was a big believer in ensemble records, which were all in the room at the same time. And I always tried to supply the actors with everything they needed in advance. So they could read the script.
Like what
I'm not Andrea Romano. I was the voice director. I'm the casting director on the show.
Right.
And so I would send them all, thank you, Susan. I would send them all the materials in advance so that they had as much as they could to prepare. And then I liked to rehearse all together so that they could suggest something of their own if they had an idea. We could find out where there might be a problem. Any guests that were coming in that hadn't been in the room before could get comfortable with the cast and kind of, okay, now I know what Superman sounds like in this show. Now I know what Wonder Woman sounds like, and got a sense of it. We could adjust them. Sometimes actors would come in and think, oh, this is a really cartoony show. And then after the rehearsal, they'd go, oh, no, it isn't. It's a much more realistic sounding show. It's not that raw. And so we would rehearse all together. Everybody could ask whatever questions they had about, what is that action again that happens in between here and here? And am I doing that line while I'm running? Which sounds different if you're recording a line while you're running. You will be running right on screen, as opposed to just sitting there saying a lot of dialogue. And then we would just go right into record, right after. And so keeping the energy up and that way there's time for silliness and fun and making jokes and occasionally having the characters talk dirty because
It's funny.
that's fun. And then we would record the whole thing, and then we would do pickups afterwards. And what that means is the producers or the writers or the animation directors who might be in the booth with me would say, you know what, for that scene, we're going to stage them farther apart which means they had to speak a little bit louder because I'm talking to that guy back there as opposed to talking to you right here. So would you pick up? And then it would go away, and the cartoon would go away and get animated. And then it would come back and we'd look at it, screen it, and go, that guy was yelling, and that guy was talking at a normal pace, and they're right next to each other. We have to fix that and make that sound like they're actually talking to each other. And then the other thing that we do, it was really fun during VDR, that very last recording that we would do, is all the fight walla. And the reason we would do it at the end is Bruce Timm, the producer, wanted the animators to have the right to create the fight scenes the way they wanted to, without us forcing sounds onto them that they had to animate to. So there would be no sound yet when Superman was getting electrocuted.
Which was all the time.
Every episode.
Electrocuted. And so what we would do is we'd screen it together. George and I would look at it at the same time, and we would see that the mouth flap is open that long. So the screen has to go that long. Otherwise, you end up with this and it ends, but the sound keeps going. So, and then fight wall, throwing punches, straining, all those kind of things. Those were always kind of fun sessions. We had to be careful not to hurt the actors' voices, because if you do an hour of straining and throwing punches and stuff, but I always like to record everybody together. That's a very long answer to that question.
Great answer. Great answer.
When you guys started to inhabit your roles for the first time, because like iconic characters like Superman, Hawkgirl, Wonder Woman, did you have any preconceptions of previous characters, like how they might sound, or did you have to go through, a process of discovering, well, what your own voice for that character, or did you have maybe a different actor in mind that got a different representation? How was that to come into it? That's something to.
I didn't have a different, I know Linda Carter, obviously, but I didn't go in thinking I'm going to try to sound like Linda Carter. I just went in sounding like me, and then it was Andrea and Bruce who helped mold the character and helped me see the character and develop her. But it was primarily my voice, my voice, but maybe a little bit lower register, so it sounded a little deeper. And then just maintaining the princess-like quality and the warrior-like quality. And that, Andrea, when I went for my callback, that's what Andrea said to me, and it stayed with me the entire run of the show. That direction, just remember you're a princess and you're a warrior. And always remember both have to be played at the same time. And that stayed with me the entire run. It's with me to this day. So, yeah, but I didn't go in thinking I'm going to sound like so-and-so or try to emulate so-and-so.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I didn't know Hawkgirl, and our show really elevated her heroism. Heroism, yeah. So I'm already very princessy, so Andrea had to remind me about being a warrior. Because I'd go into the and especially because I was pregnant with both our daughters, my husband, for the whole 4 years that we recorded. Both my pregnancies were during that time. And so Andrea would say, use it, like, you're going to give birth, and so it was really great. And I told my daughters, you were there. You were there when we recorded it. Isn't that cool? So yeah, so it was all new for me. And because Andrea wanted it really grounded, using our real selves and our own personal humanity and vulnerability, I think that's why it was so good too, because you can really relate and feel to their humanness, with their humanness. So yeah, so it really became my own, Andrea's direction, of course, my own Hawkgirl.
I actually tried to do a little mixture of the sort of the masculine part of Thor and then sort of a feminine part of, there's an actor named David Barrera.
Oh, yes.
The feminine sort of, it's David. I've reached for you.
These are the jokes they would make during recording. That's right. They would just tease each other all the time.
I basically emulated my older brother Gordon. So
Is that true?
he was a Boy Scout. He was a Boy Scout and he's an orthopedic surgeon.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
You never spoke about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think George's
Don't you
challenge was
listen?
more. I'm sorry.
Amy.
Listen, no, I'm the one that talks. You listen. George's challenge, I think, in regard to that issue, was more than for these ladies because very few depictions of these ladies, other than Linda Carter and
Right. Shannon
Farnan, but many Supermen before.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
you had to, and what was so interesting is there was a period of time during when we made the Superman animated series when Tim Daly was Superman for us. And then Tim was no longer available. We had to pass for Justice League, which was fine, understandable. And we did some lovely auditions, lots and lots and lots of actors want to read the Superman. So I heard a whole bunch of people. And we all agreed 100% that George was the guy for the job. And he was the actor for it, understood it, he was going to be fun in a recording session. I mean, think about it, at least once a week for a couple of years, we were going to spend 4 hours together in a closed room. You want to be in that room with people who you enjoy spending time with and who are going to bring something to the party. But what was so interesting is, without any intention, when we listened to George's first recording of the first episode of Justice League, various people who had not been a part of that recording session said, he sounds a lot like Tim Daly.
Oh, really?
So it was
I
never,
knew Tim, but I didn't-
it was never your intention,
Yeah.
it was never our intention, but it helped make that transition so people didn't go, wow, that's a completely different Superman, because Batman was the same guy, Kevin Conroy, and so it was a continuity that was kind of unintended, but
Good.
When developing the stories and the characters, did you guys ever have any discussion around the dynamics? Like, did you ever see it as Justice League as an ensemble? You could play it, I suppose, two different ways. One would be like workplace colleagues almost, but in some ways, the season and John almost became like family. You know? Were they ever, in rehearsals or reading through, you guys ever bounce around ideas of that type of dynamic that might be present in one of the characters, like colleagues versus family?
I think the scripts helped us a lot, because when they're in the tower,
Watchtower.
they do a much,
You're welcome.
they were tired 7 years.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They're entitled.
Thank you. But when they're up there, you'd see them like sitting around a table talking to each other, as opposed to doing any superhero stuff, if you will. And then, and I always wanted the show to be as, how would you say this? Natural sounding as possible. I didn't want even the superhero stuff to sound like this. We've all heard that before, right? We've all seen shows where they do that kind of superhero stuff, and I thought, they're, I know it sounds weird, but they're people first. Other superheroes, and Superman is a real person, he's an alien. I wanted them to be people first, and then heroic in their actions and their deeds. So I liked having that combination of when they're in the Watchtower and chatting, and wonderful things happened in the Watchtower. That's when things like Batman would say, I'm not sure I even want to be a part of this team. Why don't you guys just call me when you need me?
Right.
And there was that kind of family dynamic where it's like, oh, he's the brother that just doesn't want to play with us all the time. He wants to go off and do these things.
Yeah,
So-
we had meals together
Right,
in the Watchtower,
exactly.
and we joked in the Watchtower, and we fought, and we
Fell in love.
and fell in love.
Yeah.
And also, I think that just as time went on with the series, we got used to each other more. We were doing, we did San Diego
Yeah, that's
Comic
a first
Con,
one, yeah.
so we traveled a little together. So I think just the time element also helped, and we genuinely liked each other. I mean, it wasn't like we were going bowling every Thursday night together, but we had we had and have a real affection for each other, and I think we felt like we enjoyed our chemistry together as an ensemble, which was just, we were lucky.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You're talking about the tone of it.
Uh-huh.
As a casting director, it's just now I'm just having a conversation. but naturally, like so, like if you were to think of Adult Swim or like some of the contemporary things that if you were just turn your head, you sound like a bunch of teenagers sitting around talking.
Right?
That as opposed to it was a superhero. That's one thing, but this was in the middle.
Correct.
So naturalistic, but
Yes.
not kitchen sink realism.
Correct. You know what the best analogy I think is, and it works for the actors, is actors who have stage experience, who have worked on theatrical things on the stage, understand that slightly boosted energy that is needed for stage work, as opposed to film and TV only actors who work very small because the camera catches everything you do. It's made so much larger that way. So that kind of stage energy, so it's reality, but it's boosted.
Yep.
It's just a little bit more, because you're right, if it was just talking, it's not going to. And don't forget, we're doing voices first, and then the animation taking place. So we have to give the animators something to play with. And the more we could give them, the better the people come out. Oh, you're in trouble now. So yeah, it was just a slightly boost energy, and it was pretty easy to tell because I'd worked in animation so much before even we all got together. It was easy enough to go, we're gonna need a little bit more, and Bruce Timm was such a good person as a producer to bounce things off of, and how about this, and then it was lovely. Sometimes you guys would suggest guest stars. My friend so-and-so, an actor that we all might know, has mentioned that he'd like to come and play on the series, and I'd keep his name, and we'd find a way to bring that actor in if we could, and so it really became quite a family dynamic. It really was, and Kevin was kind of, wasn't that he was the dad, but he was kind of the authority figure, but a goofy authority figure because he was so silly. To play such a serious character, he was such a silly guy.
But I tell the story, when I first got the job, when I first got hired, Kevin reached out to me and took me out to dinner. And I'll never forget it. And we went to dinner. Yep, and we went to dinner. And it was just very much a Batman thing, a Bruce thing to do for Diana. He was telling me about, the group and what it was going to be like. But it was just the most welcoming gesture ever. So thoughtful. And he set the tone. And he jokes that it was Batman the animated series, and then all of a sudden he's with the Justice League, and he's not, it's not a solo act anymore. And it took him a minute to get used to having 6 other people to share a screen with, but he adjusted.
Kevin was great. He was heard the show twice before, and he was at and even went in Liberty Hall. He went to the building down in the centre. But even personally, I was doing an important project for work at the time, and I reached out to the animation department to renew the degree, and I reached out to see if he would narrate the video for the presentation. And he was like, "No problem." He said it. I mean, he's such a gentleman.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him? Pretty swell.
Met him a few times, yeah.
Really?
Nice guy. Good singer.
So shy though.
So shy. You really got to drag it out.
So much about making Batman a musical, and Bruce Timm was like, absolutely not. We would not make Batman a musical.
That would have been great in that.
Well, we did do a Brave and the Bold musical, the Music Meister.
Yes.
And Neil Patrick Harris played the Music Meister, and then everybody else got to sing, which was really nice too. So but Kevin wasn't in that series. But we did do a Batman musical finally. It wasn't with Bruce, it was with James Tucker.
Of course it was with Bruce.
It would have made him nuts.
Right.
Just not his thing.
Just before I move on, are there any questions anyone has Mom, I want to make sure if anyone has any questions.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. Sorry if that's okay.
Yes.
The one's practical and the other's more creative. So practically, obviously, your voice is being your commodity. But you have to go to extra measures to protect it, around sickness and illness and stuff like that. And changes if you're obviously, if you're recording for 4 years, there are changes in the physical makeup and that changes. So what measures do you take to ensure consistency? And then the second one is because you are recording in a sound booth, even if it is collaboratively, obviously you want to get into character. You've read the script. Do you close your eyes? Do you imagine the situation that you're in, or is it very practical that you're addressing the camera or addressing the microphone?
You do imagine. Yeah, you do imagine. And one of the brilliant things about Andrea is she paints the picture for you. That's what a voice director, many things they do, but one of the things they do, or what she does, is tells you where you are, what is the scene, what's happening. So she paints it for you. So yes, you're using your imagination, but it's provided. So, the entry into that imagination is provided by her. And we didn't. It wasn't. I don't know if you know the Brady Bunch. Do you have the Brady Bunch? So remember when Bobby Brady's voice changed, and all of a sudden, luckily we got these jobs as adults. So even though
wasn't an issue.
Right. I'll tell you, even when I listen to Paradise Lost, I sound very young, I think, and because I really think I was so nervous for the first year, and I really wasn't full voice until maybe the second year. And so, and as for protecting the voice, always try not to go to loud restaurants, so I have to speak loudly. I'm very protective of it.
Drinking heavily?
Don't
Drinking
drink
heavily.
Don't drink a lot, except on weekends.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke except on weekends. No. But no, I'm very aware, as I'm sure they are as well, and especially if you have a session coming up, and you really do try to protect it.
Exactly. Get enough sleep, do your vocal leads, your warm-ups, so you can pronounce things correctly, not deeply take. Hydrate so you don't sound creamy.
Right.
Don't you hate that?
I hate those mouthfuls. We just call it tuna mouth. As if you're eating a tuna sandwich, that's
If I was into a podcast and the guest is talking about and they're creamy, I'm like, "Ugh, I can't listen to it."
You know how to get rid of that?
Water.
Green
Water.
Green apple.
Green apple.
Oh, green apple. Green apple.
Water doesn't always do it.
No, green apple is what.
Green
they
apple.
do.
Green apple.
It's
got some sort of pectin or
The
something.
pectin in it, for some reason,
Yeah.
gets rid of those mouth. And I learned that from singers. When they would go into recording and they would say, my mouth is clicking. They'd say, and if you can't do green apple, pineapple.
Pineapple, green apple, and slippery elm, you know, like a throat coat. That's,
right.
that's perfect.
You need your imagination a lot, which is wonderful. Because you get to attribute things to that aren't even there and you have to react off. It's really, I love it. I love that part of it. And because we had each other too, I didn't have to do too much of that because they were right there with me. And sometimes I couldn't look at the person because Phil was Phil to me, not the Green Lantern. But then sometimes, like with George.
Don't touch me.
Well, George was very sweet.
Very sweet.
And so if I had something to say to Superman, I felt warm towards George already. So it would only add to my feelings in my mind's eye about Superman, what I feel for George. So it's just wonderful to play with all the things that are going on as an actor, with what you imagine, with what you evoke, with what you create, and what's already there you could use. It's really, really fun. I enjoy it so much.
But George, before you respond to this question, I just want to say something regards to what Maria said. When I prep a script, I hear it in my head. I can feel what I think will work. And if an actor can't get there, I can read it for them and say, okay, if you do this line this way. And that's called the line reading. And I tried not to do that very often. The trick was to do it in a way that the actor actually didn't know they were being line read. It was so fast. And it went by, and at the end of the session, they go, I think you line read me there. But my point is that we hire actors because they're creative people. And they have ideas of their own. And so sometimes the actors, even during the rehearsal, they would do something completely different than what I had heard in my head as I prepped the script. And I would often turn around to Bruce Timm and say, it's not what we planned, but it was organic, and they did it on the spot, and for me, it works. Can we do that instead of what we had initially planned? And I'd say half and half. Half time we used our original version of it, and the other times but there's something wonderful that happens in a recording session that's organic and real, and it happens in the moment, and you can't deny that. Hopefully, the producer is open enough to say, let's go with that one.
Just let it flow, yeah.
I didn't know that you were so open to that, and I think that's another reason why the show is so good, because you were open to that real stuff, not just what you did. Right. I've been in jobs where, oh my gosh, it was every line the way they wanted.
15 takes until you
wouldn't even let me go through the scene. They would have one line
And stop you.
and they wanted it like that. Oh, and I was like, yes, sir. Okay, sir. And I would try to do exactly that. And it wasn't like they never let me just explore and then give me notes. So I think that's another reason why our show, I think, was so good.
I'm also of the camp of what you would say, even on camera or off camera. Sometimes you do something so many times, or you sort of lose a sense of what it is, and then I honestly will just say, "Give me the line reading."
Right, right.
And even on camera, like, what is this? Sometimes it doesn't make any sense to me, and you go, "Oh, okay." And even if you just literally copy it, it still becomes what you do.
Right.
And you get it. But you do want to first go through your first response, whatever your first response is. You want to do that,
Right.
and then sometimes it just tell me what you want it to sound like.
I worked
Yeah.
for
No ego,
industry
just
for
I want to give it that to you. You know.
I worked for like 27 years in the industry, and only twice in my whole career did anybody ever say, please don't line me. Everybody else was like, Mark Hamill used to say,
Yeah, give it to me.
give it to me, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
Yeah.
you will make it your own. he will. But there, I can tell you that it's because you have to hit that word in the sentence.
Right.
That's the operative word. That's going to play back and refer back to what we said up at the beginning. You might have forgotten that by now that we did that. So it's just a matter of my having done my homework and then being able to tell them what we need. And then sometimes I would say too, you know what? I need this reading and then do 2 more wild afterwards. So 3 in a row, 1 my way, and then 2 more any way you want to. And oftentimes, that first read would be very good and could be used, but then they would take it themselves and make it their own with the knowledge of what it was I was looking for, and it would become a combination.
Awesome.
I have one more question. So,
Hi.
So I have 2 questions.
Okay,
So first of all, to George and Susan, what are your favorite live-action incarnations of the respective characters that you played?
what a good question.
Very good question. Mine was Christopher Reeve's Superman. That was the iconic Superman for me. Yes, Susan?
Gal. I mean, I'm a fan of Gal's and I'm a fan of Linda's. I've been lucky enough to meet them both, and I think what Linda Carter did in the 3 years that she played that character, and that we still know Linda Carter, like she's a definitive Wonder Woman. I think I just am a fan of hers, and I thought the movie, the original Wonder Woman with Gal, I thought was magnificent. And I was in the theater when it premiered, and the audience was so excited, and she was divine in that
Huge
part.
responsibility, wasn't it?
Oh.
My goodness.
And she hit it out of the park. So I really love Gal and I really love Linda. Who else does I can't think of another live action that do you have a favorite?
Maybe maybe this was Linda, but I'm pretty sure there was like a Wonder Woman who was just like, she had this like ridiculous looking like blue spandex kind of thing. It was like all of it, and her entire body was like covered in it except her face.
Interesting.
It was like, maybe
It was a happy.
The Linda Carter, one of the episodes.
Maybe it was.
It's one of the it's one of the suits in I think one of the episodes.
You got a second question? Yeah.
And the second question, say hypothetically, if James Gunn was doing a live-action Crisis on Infinite Earths movie for his DCU, and he approached all of you 3 to return as your respective roles, so like George as Superman, and Susan as Wonder Woman, Michael, I'm pronouncing that right?
Rosenbaum?
Yeah, as Hawkgirl.
Oh, maybe a Canals-Barrera.
Oh, right.
That's okay.
To say he approached all 3 of you to return as your respective versions of your characters,
Yes.
would you say yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we would, but I would think they would need to do some CGI on me. A little
So
younger.
you're saying live action, or
That's
you're
what you-
saying
live
animation?
In animation,
Oh, animation.
There
Yeah.
would not be a situation with the Flash movie where they digitally resurrect.
Thank you. So I think all of us would be
Yes.
thrilled and delighted.
I'd consult you to have to say that you'd have to think about it.
Our agent.
Yes,
No, we
What's
would,
the first
we,
offer?
you know, actors,
wonderful.
yeah, we would love it. We would love it.
Can I just say what an articulate young
Gotta
man?
figure-
I know.
Good.
What's,
That's a compliment.
Are you 13?
Yes.
I'm so good at guessing age.
it's our
I
superpower.
always nail it. I don't know how.
Thank you for your question.
That was great.
I think we have time for one final question, and then we have to move on to the photo shoots after. And yeah.
During the audition process, this is kind of like a wild question. When approaching a character that is so iconic, with so many people, and there's been versions before, and there'll be versions after. When you decide on how you're going to portray it, what influences you? Will it be like a real life thing? Like, where was your inspiration? Was it a real life example, or was it something you just pulled out of the back of your head? Or, you know, because one example would be Peter Cullen doing Optimus Prime. He was like, well, my brother, and he was a leader, and he was a military man, so I asked him. He goes, he must be strong, kind, and that was,
Well, there's a saying in acting that says you play the scene and not the character. So my audition scene was about Shayera missing Thanagar. So as actors, we're trained to use yourself to make it as authentic as possible. So I thought about my being a Latin American woman, an American person, but my parents are from Cuba, and I'm from Miami. Miami's very Cuban culturally. And so I missed that. So I jacked up that feeling of missing the Cubanness now that I'm in LA, and it wasn't the same. So that nostalgia, that genuine nostalgia of thinking about my parents cooking and the Cuban accent, and so I longed for that. And as when I auditioned, I longed for Thanagar, Shayera, and it matched my longing for my personal heritage. And so that's what I used, because I didn't really have an idea of Hawkgirl. I just knew that she was a superhero, I think strong. So that's what I did. It worked, peeps. It did.
Why Stanislavski out here?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
I think for me, you read so much, you audition constantly. That's your job, right? So whether it's, I only do voiceover, I don't do on camera like they do. So promos and commercials and animation, and you read so many things that don't resonate. You read so many things that don't feel just as natural as these lines felt to me. I don't know why they did.
They're great writers. Very great.
Yes.
You know, so when I read those lines in my audition, it just felt so natural to me to say them. I didn't have to push. I didn't have to. It was just there. I mean, it had to be tweaked an awful lot, but it was the foundation was there. I mean, and so yeah, it was. But I didn't use somebody else. I didn't think, oh, Linda Carter or anything like that, or my sister or anything like that. It just felt right. And when I left the callback, I knew that I had done what I tried to do, and I'd get it or I wouldn't get it, but I wouldn't kick myself driving home saying, "Gosh, I should have done it this way," or "I should have done it this way." It's like they gave me direction at the callback. Bruce and Andrea gave me direction. I tried to take it and make adjustments, and then I left and I drove home and I sat by the phone for 2 weeks.
She has that natural tone that's so beautiful. She doesn't even put it on. It's such a, a lot of times actors try to sound, I was telling them, they try to sound sexy and stuff. Like Marilyn Monroe was all, she put it on, just did it. But Susan is natural, it's such a gift. I'm like, what does her boyfriend think when she says, "Good morning"?
That's another one. We'll have another game.
After hours.
After hours.
I didn't really think for the audition. I just thought, okay, what is this quickly? What kind of impression can I make with this guy? Because I wasn't really fully realizing this was the Justice League. But I really didn't. I thought, oh, is this a Wonder cartoon?
Well.
I just kind of was going about my day, and I ran in there, and I was like, oh, this is a speech. I just really need to get this. It was a big, long speech about everyone needs to get together and speak to one another. I can't even remember what it was. It was like a rousing speech. And I just said, well, what's the most simplistic way I can appeal to people? And it was being earnest and being honest and thoughtful. So, and then later, as I got, I was like, oh, hell, how do I do this? You know, I got freaked out. And that's when I started thinking about my brother.
Yeah, and none of us really knew that book. Like, Phil Lamar is the geek of all of us. He's the one that was sitting on the floor reading comics.
That was so weird to me.
Right, we didn't know. Michael knew a little bit, but the rest of us didn't know the world that we were walking into.
He knew the world so well. He could be in a different world reading it and jump back into our world. I'm like, what a real geek.
Oh, Amy got the kind of.
Yes, love Phil.
He was brilliant. Obviously, I fell in love with him.
Right
Right
here.
here.
Husband right there.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Many thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you were able to enjoy today's episode given the diminished audio quality. My thanks again to Dublin Comic Con for the opportunity to be able to conduct this panel. It was actually one of the last panels to close out Dublin Comic Con August 2024. It was a bucket list interview for me that I was so happy to do, and I hope you were able to enjoy it and gain something from it today as well. And thanks to those who participated in the audience Q&A on the day. Hopefully you'll be able to find today's episode as well and listen back to your questions. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider liking and subscribing. It really will help to grow the channel, and it will also boost our statistics in the audio podcast as well if you consider adding us to wherever you get your podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, wherever you can find it. The subscription will go a very, very long way. And if you're interested in learning more about what we do at TASQ Art, at the time of recording this particular episode, it was just before Andrea Romano delivered her masterclass here at the Academy. We do various different talks, interviews, special guest workshops, and full-long academic years as well. If you're interested in exploring more and starting your career as a comic book creator, please do reach out to us at info@tasqart.com. That's TASQART, and everything is under that handle as well, @TASQ Art. Until next time, this has been a copyright production of Colleague Consultancy 2026.